Well, welcome to the launch of the Green St. Louis Machine Podcast Live. My name is Dr. Danhoff. I'll be your host over the next hours. We're going to dive into a really exciting subject. We're going to be talking about growing a sustainable tomorrow through urban agriculture. And I got to tell you, we've got a great show for you. And we're going to bring on right away the founder, and that's Sherry Amon. Sherry, how are you?
I am good. How are you, Guy?
I'm doing really well. And, the very first question that I have for you is give us a little background story of the Green St. Louis Machine.
Okay, so if anybody has heard of Stephen Ritz and the Green Bronx Machine, I had heard him speak at a conference. I saw his TED Talks. Um, I just loved what he talked about, and when I heard him at a conference, I actually got to know him. We became acquainted. He visited St. Louis, and he was speaking in St. Louis, and I was retiring from an accounting career and wanting to volunteer at a Boys and Girls Club. I connected him to a really well-known Boys and Girls Club where I was serving, Matthews Dickey Boys and Girls Club. Um, we had the brainstorm. I founded Green St. Louis Machine, and we had the brainstorm to start a Green St. Louis Machine programs with about 3 of their partner schools. Matthews Dickey had about 3 schools they were connected with. These schools were interested in gardening. Some of them had outdoor gardens, and I threw myself into, after accounting, it's more than ever throwing myself into something good for St. Louis. I knew we needed it, and it's fun to be doing this together.
Well, I know. And I got to tell you something. I love this title on growing a sustainable tomorrow through urban agriculture. What does that mean to you?
Well, urban ag is what I knew St. Louis had, and I saw what Stephen was doing in the Bronx with the Green Bronx Machine there in a classroom, growing in the classroom in a concrete jungle. I mean, the Bronx is like high rises and concrete and trash dumps everywhere and everything. So if you listen to one of his TED Talks or podcasts or
Yeah.
whatever, you'll see. And so I said, ooh, St. Louis has a lot of areas like that. And this is my city. I'm a native St. Louis. And man, if we could do something like this in my years after my accounting career, this would be awesome. So
Absolutely. So we have another guest we want to bring on. I was wondering if you would like to introduce her.
yes, I'll introduce Stella, but first, if you can show the slide of Stephen, and I want to just go over the part where it shows how he was awarded the first ever Martin Luther Matthews Award for Excellence. After kicking off Green St. Louis Machine, he's visited our schools, he's spoken at our schools, he's come for our Green Gala. And actually, one of the years at first, we were able to get a grant to take a group of kids to visit the Green Bronx Machine. And we had a class together with the Green Bronx Machine kids. So that shows you that. And next thing you know, I will bring on Stella. So
All
Stella
right.
is a consummate educator. She's a trainer of, she's a school principal, school founder. She's got over 40 years of a career in education, and she trains school principals. She was one of the first schools to be part of Green St. Louis Machine way back in 2015 when this was launched. And she has grown even during COVID. She grew outside the principal's office. One time she helped clean the Tower Gardens. So Stella loves growing, and she now has retired and volunteered to be our president of the organization. So there you go.
Well, let's bring her on. Stella. Woo, woo. Stella, what do you mean you're retired? Okay, first of all, I don't believe that, because you know what? I have interviewed so many people that say they're retired, and yet you're still having a massive impact on schools all over, certainly St. Louis. So talk to us about how, and why you got involved with the Green St. Louis Machine.
Oh, wow. Sherry will talk you into anything good. So I met Sherry in 2015,
Okay.
and this when we took the students to the Bronx Mission classroom, and that was a fantastic experience. And the kids grew the food in that classroom, and Obama's chef cooked the food for us. So it was a lifetime experience. My interest in Green St. Louis Machine is very very personal and maybe selfish at the same time. I wanted my children to taste good food and eat good food,
Yeah.
nutritious, fresh food. I love gardening, so this was something that I jumped into, knowing what I wanted to do with it. And at Northside Community School, which is the school I co-founded, and was the principal of at the time, the students, took me on, and we had a science classroom with two tower gardens. We also grew outside in the raised beds, and we had vegetables and green. Our green thumbs showed, in the case some of them have never grown anything before. They didn't
Right.
know a young fruit, apple fruit from a tomato, green tomato fruit. But between that time and now, all my kids can recognize all those and tell you what's growing. Yeah, so Green St. Louis mission is special to us.
So with that, talk to us about, we're going to segue now to kind of our first main talking point, which is about the
Mhm.
importance of food security, independence, and health. Let's start with that food security standpoint.
Well, studies show here in St. Louis that a lot of our communities are located, that Green St. Louis mission is located at, or in the high um, um, food desert areas in St. Louis, if you call it,
Okay.
where our students have childhood obesity and diabetes and heart disease, and community is not well because our food is not good.
Right.
And so that drives the Green St. Louis mission's mission of growing that healthy food and teaching the students how to cook and eat the food that
Right.
they grow, and then send them home too. We send vegetables home, produce, and then make fun things in the classroom where the kids will go, I don't eat green, but then they taste it, they go, oh, I like this. Can I have some
Yeah.
more? And so that's what's going on right now as we go into the school programs that we have, the farm to table program we have.
And with that, Sherry, why don't you talk to this next pictures that you've got, because this tells a really compelling story.
Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to share several. These are how we're partnering with schools. These are the urban farmers, a couple of urban farmers that we partner with, and the first one is Hayru Urban Farming, and then outdoor farming, and then they recognize indoor farming, and they're speaking to our students in the classrooms. And then the bottom picture is Nick Speed of Ujima and George Washington Carver Farm, and he also works with the kids. So with indoor planting in the rock wool. And so it's not either or, it's both
Both.
and to tackle
Right.
urban
Right.
farming.
Yes.
And we'll pull up the next slide. And what do we have here?
Well,
Well, go ahead, Stella. Yeah.
okay. Well, that slide, you are looking at the study that was done at Washington University Brown School of Social Work,
Okay.
where the study is by Dr. Jason Purnell. And in this study, he was able to tell us that there is a 20-year disparity in life expectancy in the neighborhoods in St. Louis area where we serve right now, and
Yeah.
compared to the nearby neighborhoods. Um, and Sherry and I have, that's just the essence of Green St. Louis mission. We don't want that. And in Sherry's voice, she goes, "Go ahead."
Well,
That's
so we're
not
not
okay.
we're not okay with that. We both say
Yes.
we're not okay with that. 90% of our schools are located in the 67-year life expectancy versus the 87-year life expectancy, just
Yeah.
neighborhoods. And St. Louis seemed to be, that's why when I first heard about this, I'm like,
Yeah.
so how can we be okay with that in St. Louis? So that's where we see what Stephen Ritz is doing in the Bronx. So it's like, all right, let's tackle it here. And that led us to a recent partnership with Christian Hospital, Northeast Northwest. They they want to get in on the affiliation with Green St. Louis Machine as well and have us help grow healthy food for them. And they serve schools that are in their area that we serve. And they've got metrics on how food can help diabetes, things like that. So they want to use us. They want to get to our kids. So that's awesome to show a hospital wants to be involved.
Well, sure. And I think another thing that was very compelling, and I know that we were able to obtain some footage, but we were able to interview with Principal Newton. I was wondering if you can kind of tell that background story, because I like to play the clip for our viewers because it's pretty exciting. Yeah, this is honestly, this is a cool clip.
Okay, well, listen, Guy, maybe that should come later when Ciara talks, but I can, okay. So we've known Arnez Newton, Principal Newton. He's one of the other founding schools of Green St. Louis Machine. I would say there's 100% satisfaction with our school principals and the teachers that want this at their school. And we had dropped by the other day to just get him to say it, because I've heard him say it many times. I'm like, okay, say it for the video. So here he is.
All right, here we go.
My name is Arnez Newton, and I am the Middle School Academy Principal here at Grand Center Arts Academy. And what I love about the Green Machine program and its impact on our students is that it exposes them to something that you generally do not get in a public school. And it's just phenomenal. Kids who want to take the class over and over again, and it just exposes them to something that most kids in the city don't have that level of exposure.
Yeah. So they have actually instituted a Green St. Louis Machine class at Grand Center Arts Academy for their middle schools. Yeah.
Well, I got to tell you something. Whenever you can get an administrator to talk and get that excited about something, that's just it's worth its weight in gold. So with that, Stella, I want to kind of throw this back to you and kind of talk to us a little bit. The other big area is going to be on the independence. What do we mean by independence?
That in the independence is just the very most important step where the kids take ownership of knowing how to grow their own vegetables or produce,
how
to harvest, how to prepare the food, and then also consume the food. And that's the only way their health will improve, or give them the benefits of good food, good nutrition. So that's that part. The independence also talks about the families adapting and making sure that they are intentional about the food that they serve every night. And all of that is pointing to good health.
Absolutely.
I just have to say, Guy, I am sideways. Do you
Yes.
see? Am I sideways to everybody or just me?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, you're sideways on the whole broadcast. Yes.
On the whole broadcast, even up
Yes,
till now?
you are. Yeah. For right now you are sideways.
Was I at first?
No,
now you're upside down.
It's like after Arnez Newton spoke.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened.
Turn around.
Try turn it 1/4 turn.
Oh, look, I did.
Yeah, now you're fine. No, go back. There you go. Now you're good.
I don't know. My phone must have locked up. He's so powerful that it locked up my phone. Okay.
All right. And then a question for both of you. Because I know that, again, this has been a 10-year journey, and I'd really like, speak to the health side. What impact have you seen the Green St. Louis Machine have over the past decade in terms of impacting students' health?
Well, for me, I was very close to the students as this was going on at Northside Community School. Being the principal was there every day. One of the things I noticed is that people started eating things they said they didn't eat before, which is vegetables. They will eat it. They will go and have a second serving, or third, whatever, on lunchtime. And you can see the improvement in their health, or even in their faces and hair growth, or just things change with the they're not little babies anymore. They're all growing teenagers, and they are actually enjoying the natural food instead of um, a plate full of vegetables that was just never touched, but that they're eating them now. So that gave me joy.
Yeah.
Um, Another thing that changed was that on the days we harvest, a lot of parents came. They started trickling in one by one. Then I will have a line of parents wanting more vegetables. And even last year on the field day, we had crates of vegetables. And once one take a bag out to the car, three more will come in, parents, and they will get vegetables, lettuces, and what did we have? We had lettuces. We had um, greens. The one that you what is that?
Collard greens, mustard
Collard greens.
greens,
Yes,
kale,
and
chard.
yes, and
Yeah.
they came and got them. And by the time I look around, it was all gone. And as more people came, I didn't have any more to give out. Shirley and I were there. So that kind of that impresses us. That's all we want to do to help out.
Right.
And we know that the kids will eat it, the parents will eat it, and their health will improve.
And one of
Absolutely.
the
Go ahead,
oh,
Sherry. No,
one
you're
of the
go ahead.
surveys that we actually do a survey where we do a beginning of the program survey and an end of the survey with the statistics showed just one of them showed the students an increase in the percentage of students eating fruits and vegetables from 48 enjoying fruits and vegetables from 48% to 85% during the program. And students become aware of the quality of their food. We've got lots of students who say that. So.
All right. So with that, so we're going to transition now. We're going to look at the science, the STEM, and the STEAM. And I was wondering if you, Sherry, if you could introduce our teachers, because we always love our teachers.
Oh, yes, I've got it written down. They're amazing. Okay, so the first teacher, should I introduce the first one? It's
Sure.
Culiara Fisher. She has a master's. Can you believe this young woman in her early 20s? She has a master's of learning, experience design, and educational technology. And she's the special program educator, K-5 science at the Biome STEAM School. She's a passionate STEM educator, STEAM educator, and she's currently with K-5 science coordinator at the Biome with experience across. This is from her school website, by the way. This next part, I don't know, she wouldn't brag about herself, but she's got a really lot of experience across public, charter, and private schools, and she's led roles from high school science teacher to college and career specialist to now an elementary curriculum leader. We know how good she is because we have worked with her for 3 years now.
Yes.
So Ciara, welcome.
Yeah, welcome. Big time.
Hi.
All right.
For having me on tonight.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And who's our other speaker?
Oh, and the other one coming on and is Emilia Belciak, and she is a PhD candidate in education at the University of Missouri St. Louis. She is the science department chair at Kairos Academy's public charter school in St. Louis, Missouri. She teaches AP environmental science, and she's recognized for her strong mentorship and advocacy for students. We know this as a fact. She's helped students with anxiety. She helps encourage them about their career choices because in high school, she's their last step before the real world. So she's been, so she's been with us for as long as she's been in St. Louis, probably. We welcome her.
Well, welcome, Emmy, in the house. So, Emmy, what we're going to do is we're actually going to leave you on this segment. I know you got the next segment, but you might be able to chime in on a few things. So I thought it'd be good, to have you on as well. And so, Ciara, let's kick it off with you, and let's talk about the science part. Talk about what you do in your classroom.
So I love GSM Green St. Louis Machine. I'll start there. However, in my science class, GSM is pivotal to not only our second grade capstone project, but all of our capstone projects. We have found a way to weave GSM into our curriculum so that our students are learning not only about empowerment, food security, their own health and independence, but as well, they're learning about things like biology, chemistry, and even the engineering behind food. So that's just a brief understanding of what we're doing in the science classroom. When I think of even capstones, for our second grade capstone, it would be possible without GSM. Our students work throughout the year where they grow plants, they harvest them throughout the year, they dehydrate them, and towards the end of the year, they go through the full entrepreneurship piece where they create their own seasoning. They go through the full marketing process where they label the bottles, and later we sell them at the farmers market for a one-day event where our students get a chance to give back to their community what they have worked for throughout the year.
Absolutely. So what I want to do is, I also know that, you know, you were talking about the great recipes. I want to bring up a slide and have you speak to it, because I found this really fascinating when we were doing our research together. What are we looking at?
Oh, you are looking at what GSM stands for. When I see these pictures, they bring me so much happiness. At the top, you have Chef Rona. She is the chef for GSM. She even runs her own food program where she teaches the kids about not only just the culinary piece behind food, but the health piece, so that they understand their own plate and what proportions they should be eating, the different types of food they should see on their plate. And she just introduced them to foods in different ways. She finds ways to give them those vegetables that they're not so excited about eating, but put them in front of them in a way that's more exciting to eat. So the kids are always smiling. In the bottom left, you will see Mr. Watkins from Sauce So Good. He partners with my school as well as GSM. He comes to our school to teach our students about the process of making seasonings, making the things that make our food delicious. The kids learn that, like, literally, parsley is not just some random thing that shows up on the shelf. It is a plant that was dehydrated. So as a teacher, when I see this picture, it just makes me giggle inside, because I think about where the kids start at the beginning of the year when they know nothing about plants. They know nothing about what they're eating. They're like, yeah, I eat chicken nuggets, and that grows in a bag. What? You don't eat chicken nuggets that grow in a bag. Who told you that? And to the right, you'll see another just demonstration of our students in the classroom engaged in the learning behind Green St. Louis Machine. So each of these pictures, they have sentimental value. I giggle when I see them because the joy behind them, it arises when I see them.
And of course, I can chime in here.
Absolutely.
Culiara, when it comes to the standards, the Missouri standards and the national standards around science, Green St. Louis Machine does help you teach those standards. Can you expand on that for us?
Oh, absolutely. When you think of the biology behind plants, plants have a physical structure, and each of those parts of a plant have a function. They have a job that they must do. So our students, through the full process of watching a plant grow from a seed all the way to this plant that they can harvest and one day eat, they learn the phases of that plant life cycle. When you think of chemistry, even down to food and the seasonings that we eat, different foods have different flavor blends. And when you think of the 5 taste profiles, that alone, entrepreneurs and businesses, they don't just show up and say, these few things are going to be awesome. This is something everyone's going to like. Even when you think of shelf stability, maintaining these foods, making sure that they don't spoil on the shelf. These are all things that our students are learning along the way that shows them, hey, everything that you're consuming, there's science behind it. When you think of engineering, all right, our students are constructing solutions to real world problems. For example, we learn about the process of hydroponics. And so when you think of the water crisis and how we're looking for solutions to the water crisis, planting in hydroponics, it saves on so much water, saves on soil alone
80% to 90%, yes,
being depleted daily. And I know Emmy could speak to this. Emmy, would you like to chime in?
Yeah, Emmy, you want to chime into this?
I love dirt. Don't get me started. I'd love to chime in about the unexpected ways that the Green St. Louis Machine program has supported curriculum. For example, I teach AP Environmental Science, but I also teach AP Psychology. And you wouldn't expect like a tower garden to have any relevance, but just this morning we were talking about sensory perception, and it was so easy to just reach over and pluck some cilantro and be like, hey, who wants to taste test this and report about what their experiencing and see how everyone has different experiences. Let's talk about the structures anatomically that lead to that, but also the differences in processing. So it was very exciting. And with soil, oh my gosh, we got to take our kids to a farm recently, and it was just a few blocks away from the school. I didn't even know it was there up until a few months ago. And when the kids were there, they learned a lot more about composting. Now they're launching this compost program at the school and soil regeneration and the importance of that. What really struck the kids was the experience of holding a worm. They're just absolutely adorable. They're over here watching this thing wriggle. And there's this magical moment where it becomes real. They're holding this worm, they're holding a chicken, and kids are saying things like, I didn't know this was a job you could actually have. In the city, you could be a farmer in the city, and beyond being a farmer, you can be a scientist that invents new flavorings to try to make things palatable that perhaps for other people aren't. Or you could extract chemicals from the plants and develop new medications, which is happening here in St. Louis. The kiddo that you see over there holding a chicken, his name is Jay. He actually recorded a video with me this morning about the career exploration that Green St. Louis Machine has taken him on. So you'll see that in our newsletter this month. He was absolutely fascinated with the idea that you can engineer things related to plant sciences, because just growing plants wasn't the most exciting part of the experience for him, but the idea that he can build something with his hands and that it can have was very thrilling for him.
Absolutely. And Sierra or Emmy, could you guys speak to this? Because I know you guys talk about the garden, but talk about what this is and how you guys use this in the classroom.
So the garden, essentially, it's a tool for growing plants.
Okay.
You start with a rock wool cube. From there, you're able to moisten them up. You put the seeds inside, a little bit of vermiculite, which helps the plant to essentially grow. Under a grow light, or even just placing them in the window, slowly but surely, you'll see the plant start to sprout. And so that's when we introduce it to the tower garden. The tower garden, it pulls the water from its tank at the bottom to the top, where that water funnels down, and it's able to hit the roots of the plants along its way back into the tank, and it processes it continuously throughout the day. However, at the top, you'll see, even so in the picture, there's like this circular dial or knob at the top, but it's also a setting for the light. And so if you have plants particularly that might like 8 hours of light rather than full light, you can adjust the tower garden to suit the plants that you are growing. And so as a teacher as well, when you're thinking about waterlogging of plants, some plants have different needs. And so when you're thinking about those needs, just like different humans have different needs, different organisms have different needs, this is a great time to introduce to your students things like plants that are more tolerant, and then work your way up to those plants that are a little bit more tedious, such as like rosemary or things of the sort. So it's very flexible. It's very flexible as a teacher who's using it for lower elementary students all the way up through 5th grade. I've even used it with my students beyond 5th. I will say it is very effective. It's easy to teach your students. It's not something that's impossible. I myself did not know anything about plants. I was a sports girly, a girly girl, never a plant girl growing up. This, when it was introduced to me as a science teacher, they were like, well, you know, you're the new science teacher, and somebody before you were doing it, take it high. And Sherry was just like, you know, I will walk you through it. It's going to be so easy. And that's literally what it was. And it's very simple to learn.
Part of the excitement with the tower gardens is the fact that there isn't soil, but you can still get pests. And so sometimes we get a little critter or two. And so we get to take it under the microscope and look at it and figure out what is it. Another interesting component is the balancing of the pH, because they have to add the nutrients since we're just using water.
Right.
Kids love to sit there and figure out the proportions and mix and match and why are the crystals growing. It's just such a tangible way of making learning experiential.
lower elementary kids, it's a great way to slip and slide. It's awesome. I love getting out and wiping the floor.
All right, so I have a question. Sierra, you're going to start it because I know you're in K through 5, and then Emmy, we'll get it on the backside, okay? So what has been one of the most profound aha moments students have, Sierra, with yours that are, K through, 5, when you're working with those, the younger ones, and say you're introducing like the Tower Garden, what is some like a big aha moments that they have?
I think one of the first ones is, and that's on the front end when you're just teaching plant structures, the part of the plant.
Right.
Is probably definitely the soil versus rock wool. I think Emmy can agree on that one. The kids are just like dumbfounded. They're like, oh my God, you can grow plants without soil. I've never seen that happen. I feel like a magician every time I teach them that trick. However, I will say walking through the process and teaching them about how plants grow, the phases of a plant's life cycle, and then them coming to this realization that it doesn't just appear in like thin air. You have to wait. You have to take care of it. It's like a pet. That is, as a teacher, it's funny to watch because you watch them fail and you just have to coach them through iteration. They learn, but it's hilarious because they're like, help me. I'm like, let's figure it out. What's the problem?
Oh my gosh. So Emmy, now we're going to here they are. Now they're all the way in high school, and you might be using the same thing and some other things. Talk us about the aha moments you see with the high schoolers.
One of the silly ones that always resonates is we like to grow plants that taste funny, just expand the palates. And the kids love to introduce the adults to the plants that they're growing. So one plant we like to grow is sorrel, and it has a very unexpected flavor. So when they know that there's a new teacher in the building or a visitor, there's often a rush to be the first one to make them taste test it. Oh, please.
Oh my gosh.
It's going to be delicious. And it is delicious. It's just that they don't expect the flavor that it has. So if you've never tasted sorrel before, I invite you to give it a shot. But that leads to a lot of really great conversations because they don't just test it. They talk about the nutrient profiles and how it's rich in vitamin C, and they get excited about that. It's just kind of it's a catalyst really for the learning that comes next. Another one that they absolutely love. Oh, I see you. Okay, you can jump on in.
Take it. I got to raise my hand like my kids. Finish up.
Sierra, now that is what I'm talking about. That's real world right there. Oh my gosh. I love your littles. This is awesome. All right, continue.
Oh, you can go. I can wait. I will be patient.
Yeah.
I mean, go ahead.
Another great aha moment they have is when it's harvest time and we're wrapping up, because you can cut and come again. You just clip, it grows right back. And at some point, okay, we've grown enough cilantro for the entire neighborhood. We're tired of the cilantro. Let's try something else. So you get to pull that root clump out. And in the Tower Garden, if it's up at the top, sometimes the root clump will be taller than the kids. So there's this very exciting experience of, measuring up to see who has the longest one that they were able to get continuously. And it's fun. It really is.
When you were talking about your little mini hazing event to the new teachers, it made me think of when Sherry came this year. We had an event where we introduced the parents to the Capstone Project, where they're growing the plants all throughout the year. And we ordered a bunch of cheese pizzas. And so the kids see the pizzas and like, where's the pepperoni? Where's the sausage? And I'm like, no, guys, in the back, we're building our own pizzas from herbs. And we just had a random assortment. There was cilantro, there was parsley, there was rosemary.
Oh my gosh.
Onion, and just watching them put different things on their plate. And I'm just like, I know you've never eaten that, probably on your own.
I cannot get rid of kids during lunch break. They come to my room to clip some herbs and to use my little toaster oven. And there's just 30 or 40 kids in rotation.
Just eat it. But
they're
Sherry,
adding to lunch.
I can agree. It was hilarious watching the kids bite into stuff that they had no idea what it would taste like. And I'm just like, I'm laughing in my head. So I'm like, why are you putting a bunch of green onion and rosemary on your cheese pizza? That is not going to be good. Who told you that was?
It was good.
Yeah.
Hey, and their kitty brain, it makes sense.
Isn't that wonderful? Creating
Well, and
Well-
I was there, I must say, if I can raise my hand. I
Sure.
was there that night, and I did, I asked some of the parents that came what they're liking or what they're learning or what they like about Green St. Louis Machine. And I think I have a couple videos. I'm like, say that for the one mother was like, they're having lifelong learning that they can learn how
Yeah.
to grow their own food forever. And then they've inspired us to grow a garden. And the child was sitting there saying, we're growing eggplant. And she said, and then one strawberries, no blueberries, and the kids are both talking about what they're growing, the siblings that came to the not the event that Sierra hosted. So I just wanted to hear it from the parents. So that was really underscoring it's important what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And Sierra, I know that teachers and administrators are seeing that the food provides real measurable classroom content aligned with the state standards. But I wanted to take you back one step further, and I'm going to give you this big softball question. All right. I mean, this is the educator in me. As you guys know, I'm a college professor. So here we go. I'm going to put it on the screen for you. I'll even read it because I want people to put in perspective what you and Emmy do. So here we go. Growing food is considered to be a hands-on science in that we're connecting biology, chemistry, environmental science, and engineering. Okay, now that's a lot. So, Sarah, could you break this down for us and put it at that, say, second grade level for us?
All right. If I were a second grade teacher, in which I am,
Yep.
I would rephrase this question to say, growing food is a hands-on experience where students connect through biology. And when I say biology, I would be mentioning more of the structures of plants, how plants are built from their root hairs to the roots to the stems on up. When I'm thinking of chemistry, I would be thinking of the physical makeup of the plant, such as watching photosynthesis occur right in the classroom.
Right.
I would think of things like the food that we're creating, the different flavor blends, and how these different things come together, right, to make that taste that we're looking for. When I'm thinking of environmental science, for my second graders, I would be teaching them things about such as human impact, the plants that we make, such as invasive species. You don't want to introduce them to your backyard. I've done it. I have dill in my front yard that owns it, and I'm the one paying the bills.
Yeah.
When I think of engineering, I think of solutions to real world problems. We know we have water crisis. Thinking of how we can design things in our community that not only benefit us, as in the physical humans and the structures that we're making, but as well what gives back to us, Earth. We know as teachers that producers are at the lowest. They're the lowest at the rank. Then you have consumers ranking up. If we have no producers, we have no plants, we have no means of us surviving. So as a teacher, these are the things that I will highlight to my student when I'm breaking down this one sentence in front of me.
Good job.
Sarah, you know what? I don't know, but someday if you ever decide to get your PhD, that sounds like a dissertation to me. It's really easy. No, seriously, that's pretty darn amazing. So we're gonna bring it to our PhD candidate. So Emmy, let's have you break this down now at the high school level, because I'm sure that there's going to be a shift in the context.
So for high schoolers, there's this crisis of identity that they all undergo. Who am I? What am I going to do with my life? Oh my gosh, as a freshman, in 4 years, they're kicking me out of this building. I'm an adult, right?
Right.
There's this little bit of panic I have with my seniors who are graduating. This is our first ever graduating class of seniors. And so they really don't have the context yet to see what comes next from any predecessors in the building. They're exploring and they're checking out. Science has been ethereal at this point. How do we make this something that they can see themselves as capable of participating in, but also a life can be built around it, right? Here, St. Louis, this is kind of a mecca of agri-science and not just growing food, but also processing that food into medications, processing that food into new ways of experiencing the world. Even you can grow plants and use them as building materials, things that can preserve soil, things that can help us to treat different diseases in both humans and plants. High schoolers are discovering that plants can get a disease. And this is a revolutionary experience for them. They're not just reading about it in a textbook, but they're actively watching the impact that a bacteria can have, for example, on a cabbage looper worm that invaded our crop last year. Sherry knows all about the cabbage loopers from her experience recently. But learning about, for example, Bacillus thuringiensis bacteria that we actually used as an organic means of treating these worms. They're driving us crazy. And the kids are learning about, well, when you spray certain types of pesticides, you can poison the water. Well, what are some alternatives that we can use that we can safely just continue eating the greens? And then that segued into, well, I saw that BT is used in a lot of genetic modification of crops. And they're actually taking genes from this same bacteria that we sprayed on our plants to get rid of this cabbage looper. And they're inserting that gene into most of the corn and soy and wheat that we're eating nowadays. And so it was an exciting revelation for the kids to see the connections between careers. That's just the biology and engineering and the environmental science, but the chemistry of it, woo, they love the chemistry of it. Who cares about nitrogen until you're like, why are my greens not green? Why are they sitting there looking green and yellow? What's up with these funky spots on this plant that I've raised from a seed and, watered every week? They get invested because they've put so much time and energy into it. And suddenly pH is not just this abstract concept. pH is something that they have sat there and agonized over because they care about that baby plant, something about sprouting that seed yourself. They're naming them.
Okay, what kind of names do they use? I can't wait to hear this one.
Oh my
God. This ought to be good.
Well, for starters, they named my class turtle Good Soup.
Good soup.
Evil.
And they try to pretend that it was my idea. But I honored their vote.
Oh my gosh.
And so they'll name the plants different silly names. Like they named one of the plants Turtle, and then they fed it to Good Soup. So
I tell you what, Emmy, you know what? I've never taught high school, but you make me want to at least show up for a day and see this. It sounds so fun.
Oh, it is. You're always invited.
Yeah.
We'll feed you new plants.
Yeah. So, Emmy, I have a question. This is from one of our viewers. I'm going to put it on the screen for you right here, so I'll read it to you. And this is a great question. Is indoor tower farming a viable alternative to climate change and global warming?
This is a fascinating question because it's multifaceted, right? On one hand, indoor tower garden does conserve a lot of water, right?
Yep.
On the other, you're never going to completely replace any kind of traditional agriculture because I'm not going to try and grow pepper, for example, in my tower garden as effectively as I could grow herbs or greens.
Right.
And there are needs for integrated agriculture. However, if we can grow more food locally and not have to transport it great distances, for example, if your collard greens in the middle of January can just be growing in your kitchen instead of being transported from 3 states south, then you have saved a lot of fossil fuels. You've reduced your carbon footprint. And more excitingly, you've tasted something that you grew yourself.
Yeah. And Sierra, you want to weigh in on this?
I would say through what I teach my students about ownership, but also empowerment.
Yeah.
When I think of the fact that my students have a candy store not even 2 minutes from their house that they could run up the block and get to it. But if they're looking for fresh produce, we have to go 5-10 miles out. This is very much sustainability. This is ideal for the average family that knows that I might not be able to afford to go for that hike for that. My families that are busing back and forth, they have access to water. And in fact, it's very sustainable because the amount of nutrients, and even when you're thinking balancing out that pH, what it takes to fix it and what it takes to maintain it versus what you lose by not having it.
Right.
There's no, it's a complete win. It's a win-win for the side of hydroponics. That's my take on it as a teacher. I definitely know for my students last year, when it came to things like Thanksgiving, we handed out the collard greens for our families to eat during
Right.
Thanksgiving. That was something that our students worked on throughout the entire first 1, 2, 3 months of the school year, and it was capable. It was something that we could do. We've handed out herbs to our kiddos, such as rosemary, thyme, and things of the sort during the holidays, so that those things that were more expensive at the grocery store, their families could access. And so when I think of the longevity of it, it's more sustainable. It's something that should be invested in. I truly believe it should be invested in.
Absolutely. And what I want to do now is I'm going to actually bring Stella on to respond to this. And let's connect this to the governor's citing of careers and the need for urban agriculture. And I'm going to go ahead and bring up this image. I know you had the opportunity, both you and Sherry had the opportunity to actually meet the governor. And I was wondering if you could talk to us about that experience, but most importantly, what has been the governor's charge when you had a chance to talk to him?
Oh, wow. The governor was inspirational. He spoke about his childhood. He grew up in a Walnut Park area and never saw a farm. Houses were so close by together in rows of houses in North St. Louis that he did not see vast land for farming or possibility of that until in high school. He had a job at a car place. The owners of that car lot had a farm. Well, one thing led to another, and he was visiting the farms. And now he knows where food comes from, how food is grown. And it was an eye opener for him. He started looking into this, and now our governor, Governor Kehoe, is a farmer. He has made his career as a farmer, both crops and animal farming. And he said that, if he hadn't ventured out, he would not have had that experience and had the leeway to careers that he knows that he has benefited, him and his family have benefited from, which then Sherry and I are sitting there going, oh my God, this is just like our children's story. Yeah. And we said, well, we better bring this back. And now Amy, as a high school teacher, is graduating students who are going into the world, not knowing what careers are available to them. Well, listen to this. In Missouri, the Agribusiness Economic and Job Study of 2004 and 2024 and 2025 says that there is 25.7 billion in agriculture and in economic GDP of Missouri, right? And then he says there are 176,000 plus jobs, and all of that are in the Metro St. Louis area. The production agriculture has 15,000 and has 15,000 plus jobs and has a GDP of $1.41 billion. Processing manufacturers, 21,828 jobs, has a GDP of 4.66 billion. Agricultural related input and services, 55,572 jobs, has the GDP of 9.16 billion. And indirect spending, supplies and workers, is a 10 billion plus GDP. And then they start to talk about what are those things that can be grown, that are being grown now in the St. Louis area. We have 81% of U.S. soybean production. We have 78% of U.S. corn production, 72% of hog inventories. U.S. poultry is 49%, and U.S. farm. U.S. farm. That is, we are talking about the whole entire U.S. Here is what we are producing in our area. So without St. Louis area, there is no food in America. Can you understand that? And then we export it to the whole entire world. And of course, we have read about China and all these um, other political scenes, situations. But we are moving the world. We are feeding the world. And our children have no idea that these jobs exist.
Well, so we decided we have just been we've been invited to join the Agribusiness Club of St. Louis, and we are just getting there's other people that may know about this, but we really didn't. But I mean, what Stella said is, say we want to create these pathways to skilled trades, higher education, and research and scholarships and internships with these agribusinesses that are here. And it demonstrates what she was talking about, demonstrates a great opportunity for our students, our career, the career counselors and classroom teachers, admins, to pursue connecting such rich agribusiness opportunities and economic job opportunities to our students. We are just, I was overwhelmed. I did not know when we've been invited to come and hear this University of Missouri research was, and I think Guy was at the meeting. You went with us. I think I invited you. I drug you along too, to hear these people talk about this. Wow, we're going to be really working on connecting these to our,
Yes.
these people to our
There's a
students.
lot of pressing problems that are being solved right now in urban agriculture and in agriculture in this region. Our growing zones changed recently, and this has had a dramatic impact on the way that farmers are able to produce food. Someone has to come up with solutions, and our kids are inheriting these problems from us. They have this exciting opportunity now to be a part of those solutions.
Yeah. And a Guy, I think you had put our logo up on the screen.
Yeah, I'll bring it back. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so people, they go, what kind of logo is that? That's kind of ugly. Well, guess what? The leaf is the outline of the boundary of St. Louis City. It's actually shaped like a leaf. And the surrounding area, we serve Metro St. Louis, which includes Illinois too, but the city itself is shaped like a leaf. And then the gears, the machine comes from the gears. Green St. Louis Machine wants to be a really important and helpful player in the agriculture scene here, the agribusiness scene, the agri-education scene. And we feel like partnering is the way to go. And so that's and then when you hear Governor Kehoe, I just have to read what I wrote down, what he said. There were hundreds of people listening to the governor. And when we're like, oh my gosh. So, and by the way, we are launching in January. We're going to launch 4-H clubs in all of our partner sites and community organizations. But the governor said we need to pursue these relationships with agribusiness community. And he said this is the time to expand. Kids need to know where their food comes from. Urban kids are so important. And he was one of them. It was so cool to us. We're like, yes, we rushed up to him and said, Baden, or whatever, you were raised in North St. Louis, that's where we serve right now. And so he wants that. And so he says now is the time to expand. Our students are ready. Our teachers are ready. That we want we want them to have the connections and the on-ramps to these opportunities. And so we invite everybody to move with us. And that's that's what we want to do. So we're having a lot of good conversations about this.
So Sherry, with that, talk to us about, how many more resources or more information about the website. What can our viewers find at the greenstlouismachine.org website?
I invite you guys to click on it because they can find issues of our monthly newsletter called the Green St. Louis Machine Gazette. It features a sustainability theme each month that all of our partner schools focus on in context of what they're doing. You will find a link. We've got a fundraiser coming up. The link will pop up to help support the the mission of Green St. Louis Machine. You'll find out all kind of news about what's who our sponsors and partners are. We need more sponsors and partners. We actually took on, we need another podcast about that, but last summer we said yes to a tower farm of 40, almost 50 tower gardens. So we are a little bit overwhelmed. We need funding, we need support, and they'll find
volunteers.
a lot of good pictures. A lot of good pictures there showing the work we're doing. Yeah, and Stella, like she said, volunteers, internships, practicum students,
Yes.
university involvement as well. So.
All right. So as we wrap up the first podcast, which is so exciting, I mean, you just look at the growth, as we, circle back to the very, very beginning here, and there it is. Again, being championed with growing a sustainable tomorrow through urban agriculture. That is what the Green St. Louis Machine is all about. And with it, I was wondering if you guys could all give your parting shots on just some ways or some encouragement of how our viewers can get involved. And we'll start with our teachers. We'll start with we're going to go to second grade. Sierra, what do you got for us?
Well, when I look at the leaf, which is so ironic when she was talking about the story, I got to hear a little bit about how it was formed, of the logo and things, but I never got the full story. So thinking about those gears on that logo, well, if you know anything about gears, every gear has to do its part for the system to work.
Right.
So everybody has to do their part by donating, even if it's $1 or $2, you're giving back, but you're helping, you're doing your part so that we can all benefit from this beautiful earth that we're living on. And we can all benefit from the creation of more green spaces so that we can breathe better, so that we can eat better, so that we can live better lives. So let's do our part.
Absolutely. Emmy, from your perspective.
If you're a chef, if you're a scientist, if you've got any interest whatsoever, we invite you to come volunteer with us. There's always a pest to fight. There's always a new flavor to discover. And there's always a new recipe to create. Help us introduce our students to the future.
Absolutely. And Stella, as the president, what do you got for us?
What I have is what everybody else has said, but more especially support Green St. Louis Mission to live up its mission and its vision. Our vision is so inclusive and so productive. We want our children to experience life in full, working and experimenting and discovering all things healthy.
Absolutely, Stella. I couldn't agree with you more. And Sherry, as we wrap up this podcast with you, what's kind of your charge, maybe for our viewers, as you certainly have founded the Green St. Louis Machine?
So one thing this brings in my mind about our Green Gala. We do a Green Student Gala every spring, Student Green Gala, and it's pretty darn exciting. Last year we had 350 students from our 10 plus partner schools and organizations. They each get to come and they get an apron as an award. And they bring it's like, you hear of sports teams and cheerleading teams and this and that, music concerts and stuff. This is where they come for healthy a get together called the Green St. Louis Machine Gala, and chefs will make the dishes that the kids invented with what they grow, and they've tasted it and tested it in their classrooms, and then chefs make the dishes. The families are invited, the community is invited. The Green Gala of 2026 is April 9th. We will post that information on the website. This gives a chance for the agribusiness people, for the community, community leaders to come visit us. And the movement, I mean, like I said, we can't stop it because the teachers will go from one school to another and they want the Green Machine at their school, the passionate teachers. So we just need you to join in and us to join you.
And don't forget, December 2nd is our first fundraising evening ever. And it is going to be on our website. It's already on our website. Please go to our website and access that. Go and come and support us because, it's our first one. So we really are new at this, but we need everybody to hold our hands.
Absolutely. Well, gang, we finally have come to the conclusion of our podcast. I want to thank all of you for being on. For Sherry, Stella, Emmy, and Sierra, my name is Dr. Guy. Now, if we want to thank you for watching the Green St. Louis Machine live podcast right here. We want to thank you guys all. If you want more information, again, you can go check out the website. Thank you and have a wonderful evening.
You too.